I find hope through solidarity and organizing with like-minded people, and even a step further than that, creating and like generating a social life for myself again in a way that feels aligned morally and ethically and is as safe as it can be.
Welcome back to the Mitigation Media Podcast. My name is Dustin. I'm your host. We're in the middle of a conversation with William from the band Glass Beach right now about mitigating viruses as a touring band. So let's get right back into it. Enjoy.
We successfully partnered with, I think, a mask block in all but one city. Like, I'm pretty sure. And then like in a lot of like, I would say like a third of the cities, we also had a clean air organization helping us out that was like providing purifiers and like everything. And we had the purifiers and the FAR UVC from the Seattle Clean Air Collective that we had brought with us. So
you had a smart air mini.
We had the mini blast 2 or whatever. Yeah.
You had a Koei. Or no, was that borrowed from us?
That was borrowed from y'all.
Oh, that was borrowed from Airgasmic.
Yeah, we got Airgasmic like provided like 5 air purifiers, or like 4 or 5. They brought like a mini blast, and then there were like 3 other like kind of smaller ones as well. And
yeah,
we use them for the green rooms, and we use them for the merch table, like that kind of stuff.
That's great. I love to hear it.
I mean, the way that I like ran the FAR UVC as well was like we had 2 bioabundance FAR UV Pros, and
I'm learning the tech on that, but like I think the future is those like that kind of stuff everywhere.
Yeah,
like it feels like that's the easiest way to clean the indoor air, because it just seems like scaling air purifiers is not possible in indoor large spaces.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what like HVAC and like adding, you know, like MERV 14 or whatever filters to HVACs and stuff, so that they can get like smaller particles, like that. And, you know, improving HVAC systems, getting like air purification, and like having FAR UVC, like filtered FAR UVC is like, yeah, it is. To me, it like, you're right. Scaling just like cater and like getting clean air rotations and stuff like would be so much more difficult without FAR UVC.
Like right now, Clean Air LA, like we're trying to do the math to figure out what we can actually support with what things. And like with some filters, it's like, okay, well, like some spaces are just so huge. It's like, okay, well, realistically, we really can't help these people. And like, I want to be realistic with who we're offering tools to, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be saying like, yes, these tools are helping you. And I want to be just like, yeah, here's some tools and maybe they'll help you, you know, like, and so we're doing work now to figure that stuff out. It's not easy. It's a lot of work just to learn the tech.
I mean, a lot of it, like there are things that I'm even learning now, or that I've even learned in the past week, that like I would encourage like other, I mean, I think about the clean air kits. They have those luggables, but they also have like something called an acceleron, and they have a 2-fan acceleron and a 3-fan acceleron. And those things are like super high. It's like not for like, you know, you're not going to get like a room, but it's like the fans and the way that like filter system works is like so fast that like the test that they did, it like sucks your air away from you before it can even like get out to like the person in front of you. And it's just like, if you have it, like if you're sitting at a table with someone, for example, or you're like eating food with like one of your friends, and you have the acceleron on a table between you, and you turn the sucker on, like your air won't even like touch each other. It's like, I mean, like that kind of stuff is like ridiculous.
It's like existing in a hood, like
yeah, basically. And I don't know the exact specifics on it, but I've like seen the videos, and like they have diagrams on their website and everything too. And also, I'm not sponsored by Acceleron or anything. The Seattle,
are you sponsored by anyone?
Seattle Clean Air Collective is a partner, has a partnership with BioAbundance.
Oh, cool. So they gave them some of the FAR UVC stuff.
Yeah, we got heavy discounts from them for those. Which was amazing, and the people we've worked with there have been like really encouraging with us and with Glass Beach and stuff like that. Like Glass Beach, like myself personally, I'm not like sponsored or partnered with them, but like the Clean Air Collective is. So
gotcha.
Just to say, so doing that, I looked into, and I got SIP masks for everybody in the band. So that's
you guys
like
all had flows. It flows with SIP masks in them.
And we had flow masks. SIP valves in the flow mask is not
Doesn't
great.
really work.
It doesn't. The flow
I've only
mask.
done it with an N95.
The flow mask isn't prepared for like that extra like little buffer of like stuff there, and it's like, and the filter is like perfectly like sized for the flow mask.
Let's give the audience a quick like breakdown of what is a flow mask.
Yeah, a flow mask is a boutique elastomeric mask. So there are masks called like P100s and stuff like that are like heavy duty. They look like gas masks. They essentially, an elastomeric is like a form of I don't know what the material is exactly, but it makes it so that like it can better form to any, like most people's faces. Better than like a surgical or a KN95 or an N95, like that kind of thing. Because of the material, it easier molds to your face instead of having like one set structure. The flow masks are a little bit less like, I think one size fits all than like some P100s are. But they kind of tout like fitting, I think 95% of faces between like the two versions that they have.
And you and then the guitarist and bassist all wore flow masks, and you guys looked metal as hell on
Yeah,
stage.
we wore flow masks on stage and pretty much at all times. Like sometimes like when a flow mask, like we would wear like N95s as well. I would switch between my flow mask and a P100. When I could, I would wear a P100 on stage if I like felt like I wasn't getting dehydrated. Because a P100 you can't have like a SIP valve in. But then I made the SIP valve work with my flow mask, but like there were times where like our lead guitarist would try to do it and like would take a heavy breath and like exhale out, and it would pop the corner of the filter out. So that's why you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. I would not encourage somebody to have a SIP valve in a flow mask necessarily, unless they are really careful about like getting it correctly positioned to kind of prevent that from happening, which is like user error and really, I think, not intuitive to do. So with SIP valves, they work well. I like them with 3M Auras.
I'm a 3M
I like them
Aura
with
guy.
Auras. I like them with like V-Flex.
I like I've been doing the V-Flex lately. I like the comfort of the V-Flex.
Yeah. I can't get quite as good of a seal on anything other than a 3M Aura. I'm like 3M Auras all the way.
Say my partner there. That's right. All of her KN95s are.
Oh,
Are
cool.
stacked right there. And
Yeah, like all the different colors and
colorful
stuff.
way. Yeah. She
Yeah.
always has options because she works at a shop, and so she used to bring this HEPA filter to work, but now they have one at work, a bigger one, and she masks.
Cool.
And she gets her boss to mask sometimes, and they test them. Just like she's changing, she's affecting the culture of the shop that she works at in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that like I've heard like I think almost every criticism you can hear of like doing live music, like doing a tour, having performances, even with mitigation. A lot of people were like criticizing the fact that I was like so COVID cautious and still was going out on a tour and, exposing so many people to risk. And that was by no means before we went on the tour, I told the band that it was my last one. I was like, so my decision was not based on anything that happened on tour or anything like that. I was just like, I can't do it anymore. Like I can't, I just feel too guilty, and I feel too like, it's like too much risk for me. And it sucks because like, I love playing live music. I love playing in front of people, and especially like our fans are so wonderful and so grateful to see us. And it's really, it is very disappointing, but it's like, for me, it's like something I have to do. And even having like mitigated shows, like Mask Block's providing masks for us. I understand the criticism of like using that sort of resource for, maybe not the most needed like thing.
Yes. Right now we should be sending masks to all the farm workers for H5N1. What are the numbers?
H5N2, I think, is one of them. H5N1, H5N2.
And I think, yeah, we need to acknowledge our own in terms of you saying that 99 to 90 to 100% in terms of mitigations earlier, it's like, yeah, we need to acknowledge our own privilege in terms of being able to seek these things.
Yeah.
Our own privilege about even knowing about these things, having access to the information, to have educated ourselves, to be at this point, to be able to mitigate. And the criticisms of like, oh, well, you shouldn't even been leaving. It's like, I hear those criticisms because like I get them too, right? I put on a mask and I go to shows. I was at a show last night. Nobody's really mad at me, but like sometimes people are mad at me for just being out, and I hear those people, and like my question for those people is, I'm trying to exist in this space so I can advocate for that safe to be safe for everyone eventually, or my other thing is I want to figure out how to make it accessible digitally for everybody. I want every space, every event to be digitally accessible. So like, yeah, you can be mad at me going out and mitigating to the best of my ability. You can be mad at William for having gone and done a tour.
And you can be mad at us for having like the resources to get like this equipment, like too, like, and I understand, and like people who could really benefit from having like far UVC at their home that like need it, like maybe they have a caregiver that that maybe isn't like the most safe, and like having them in your house is like a nightmare, and you're like, oh, if only I had like more air purification, like that kind of stuff. Like I hear that too, and I don't think that you're wrong. But I do think like optically the stuff that like Dustin and I are doing, and the things that like Clean Air Club and the things that a lot of like Mask Blocks are doing in like helping to provide safer spaces for these events, like live events and everything. I mean, it gets mass people out into the zeitgeist again. It gets like it forces people to continue thinking about it and engaging with it and like facing the reality of it. I know personally, like, I at least like 10 people who have told me that like wearing a mask to our shows gave them like the step they needed to get back into masking at all. And like that's like concrete, and that's just the people that have told me. And that kind of stuff is like, that's huge, because those are people who otherwise would have just like gone on like business as usual, behaving like this never happened. So like the
you
criticism
inspired me. You guys inspired me. I mean, no, like for real, like your masked photo of your first show from this last tour inspired me to be more open about having gone to shows in masks. Cause like I was nervous because I was people were mad. Right. So it's like your signal boost of like, hey, we can do this. What helped push me towards activism. Now we're starting Clean Air Club. It pushed me towards more visibility and going, hey, there's power in being visible, because we need to normalize this, because there is a culture of people still trying to mitigate and still wanting to mitigate. And we need to know that it's okay, because with mask bans, they're telling us it's not okay.
Yeah.
And we need to show, yes, it's okay. As a matter of fact, not as only okay, it needs to happen for the future of humanity, to preserve our health, to keep doing the things that we want to do. Like, I don't want to watch every artist I love fall by the wayside, as is Fauci's words, right? Like, Blink-182 and cancel shows this week. I don't want to see Blink-182 go down. Oh no, Blink-182. I'm kidding.
I don't
want them to go down.
I mean, yes, but also like Mark Hoppus like had cancer a few years ago. Like
100%.
Like, I mean, you kind of never like fully don't have cancer anymore. I mean, it's like that's something that he carries with himself now, and it's like, oh gosh, like any kind
Eddie
of
Vedder literally described your image of like being dead on the floor for his last COVID infection like a month ago. Eddie Vedder was like, oh yeah, I thought I was gonna die. Like, these artists are going through this stuff. It's like Olympics right now. We're watching people literally like going through like having COVID, actively competing in the Olympics is such a wild, cognitive dissonant place to be as a society, to watch how I kind of block it out, I don't really pay attention, but like it's there and everybody's looking at it in the face and seeing it and knowing it's happening, but everyone's just like, no, I don't want to think about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I literally saw someone talking about that today with like when the Olympics were happening in Tokyo
2 years ago.
2 years ago, it was like known as the COVID Olympics. Like,
because the COVID emergency had still been declared at that point. Yeah. So that's why.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. But like I saw, like someone was like referencing it as like an added reason for that, like could be that the fact that it was like an Asian country, and it was like the anti like Asian sentiment there, and especially with the continued like the hoaxing like mythos of the Chinese virus and that kind of stuff. I just yeah, like I can't help but believe that is like somehow involved in it, like this nationalistic attitude of like it's not here, you know.
It's not. It's yeah. It's well. That's the same attitude of the like, oh, it's the vulnerable who are going to fall by the wayside. You're not vulnerable, but it's like, okay, we're all one infection away from being vulnerable. Half of us are vulnerable. It's like talking to like anyone over 70 for me right now is like, I don't know. Like, you're over 70. What do you want me to say to you? Like, you should be masking up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean, honestly. Like part of that is like there are going to be a lot of people who are vulnerable who are just not going to hear it and are not going to like. So it's like, as frustrating as that is, and how like kind of like anger inducing that can be, you know, if the rest of us mask and like mitigate, like we go an extra step further of protecting them too. And you know, as like frustrating as that can be, like it is helpful. The people who want concerts to go away like entirely, for example, I'm like, sorry, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
capitalism
won't.
Is going to keep running until capitalism collapses. Like, it's going to keep happening.
The people most likely to carry on doing concerts are the ones who are least likely to mitigate. And so, like, at a certain point, it just becomes like the super spreader event, like over and over and over and over again. And so, like, I do see a little bit of value in bands making the effort. I mean, there's like Deerhoof.
Yep.
Is like a great band that's like trying to get fully masked shows. I really need to look up that band that worked with Clean Air Club.
The first one there?
Yeah. But I know Purity Ring, the band Purity Ring, before we did our tour, they had done like a like mitigated tour as well. And I've like
just the signal boost of seeing, like, I remember sharing, you know, that first night of your guys' tour, sharing that photo doing like millions of views on Twitter. Like, people were just like eating that up because, like, I think my retweet was, this is the world that you want is possible. Yeah. And I think there's just so many people who weren't returning to shows because they were scared, and like rightfully so. It still is risky, especially right now as we're in the peak of a COVID wave, the worst summer wave yet.
I mean, hopefully we're in a fucking peak. Hopefully it's going to go back down before the fall, like, winter wave.
Yeah, I mean, right now it looks like a bunch of them are kind of doing this, but I'm hoping that they continue to come down. But like, we're about to go into school, so like, it might just get worse until the winter. So like, I say all that to, like, you know, and we just had a mask ban in New York, which happens to be the county where I spend a lot of my 20s. My dad was born there. My stepdad used to live there. Like, I spent a lot of time in that county. It's like, I'll never go back now. But I want to ask you, first of all, what do mitigations look like today in 2024 for you? What's your day-to-day mitigations?
Well, okay. I'm going to get into the like minutia here. So you'll see, like, right now I have like stubble. That's because I haven't gone out I haven't left my house in like a week or so. It's not like stubble. There's a little bit more than that, but like my mitigations are that I trim down and I just have a mustache because like I want the seal of my mask to be better. And that's, you know, I miss having a beard, but I also don't want to get COVID. I miss wearing my hair down too. I have
let's just clarify. The reason we shave is for a better seal for our N95.
Yeah, better seal for our
hair gets in the way.
Yep, it just does. I mean, it's like that's like been true forever with like P100s and stuff like that's why firefighters all have mustaches, because it's like the only facial hair they're allowed to have, because they like wear like, you know, oxygen masks and stuff like that. That's like, it's just like how, you know, that's why that's like a trope.
That's because very funny.
Yes. Yeah. I found a graphic that like a long time ago that was about like, because I was looking up like, it was when I learned that your facial hair can like break your seal. And I was like, oh no, that sucks. Like what kind of facial hair can I have? And there was a graphic for firefighters that was like, are you a firefighter or like emergency, like, you know, response person? Like, here's the kind of facial hair you can have. And it was just
cool
like
guide.
yes. Oh, it was so funny. And I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah, there was like a lot of goatees. or like a soul patch. But if you have a soul patch, your flow mask, like that's about like where it sits. So that would also be difficult. For like the half masks that end up a mask that like sits above your chin, below your bottom lip.
Okay, back to your mitigations.
Yeah, so I trim down. I wear my hair up mostly because or I have like a hat on or something if I want to block some more of the sun. Because I have a flow mask with like a halo strap on the top of it. It helps like lock it into place a little bit better. Or if I'm wearing like
but also blocking the sun is good at mitigation too.
Yeah. I mean also skin cancer is not good. Like all this stuff. I'm just like, yeah. So shaving down, like I keep stocked on like N95s. I either get them through my local mask block, or if I want something like a little more special and I have a little bit of money like that I can spend on it, I'll go to like Well Before or Bonafide. Those are two like brands. Those are two brands that I trust like with masks.
My partner loves Mask Seek. These are all like these cute
cool
Mask Seek ones.
Yeah. And then if you can, like, I have not been able to do this yet. I haven't fully fit tested a mask. But I know that like the mask block in Seattle is preparing to do like some DIY fit testing stuff. So if you can, like, you know, look into a mask block, if there is one in your area, I know they're like far and few between, especially in like smaller towns and like in, you know, more rural areas. But if you can find one, there's a ton popping up. There are so many people that are like trying to encourage and help their community.
And just to clarify, fit testing is basically using a tool to figure out if there's any breaks in the seal of your mask. There's a couple ways to do it. One with a sweet spray and one with a bitter spray that you basically nebulize to see if you taste sweet, that means there's break in your seal. If it tastes bitter, there's a break in your seal. There's also a tool called a port count, which I don't quite understand, but that's kind of how you fit test and why you fit test, because you want the best seal possible on these masks.
Yeah. And there was like a great study that came out recently that's like so encouraging about how N95s can stop transmission. And they did this study and found that like N95s, like non-fit tested N95s were able to stop 95 to like 98% of transmission. And that's like, unfortunately, that's like the person who has COVID needs to be wearing the N95. And of course, like two-way masking is like better, but like air leaving you is more likely to be caught by your mask than air coming in, because when you breathe in, like airflow, it follows the path of least resistance. So if there is like a break in your mask, like when you suck in, like the air wants to go in through that break in your mask before anywhere else. And that's why like that the electrostatic like function in a lot of like N95s is so important, because like it will essentially attract those like particles to like catch them. So, but yeah,
like
so non-fit
Death Star ray, right?
The tractor beam. Yeah. So, shave down, wear my hair up, put a hat on. Like I have an N95. If I know I'm going to be out doing something or I'm going to be somewhere for a long period of time, I install a sip valve in my N95 so that I can like have a straw and drink water or a beverage or something without breaking the seal of my mask or having to take it off.
And a sip valve is a small silicone thing about this big. You cut a hole in your mask, you insert it into the mask. It does require you cutting and damaging a mask, but if you do it properly, it continues to hold a seal that you can have a straw through, a small straw, and you can drink through it.
Yep. Like using it for flights and stuff is like a game changer. I don't fly, really. But if I had to, I would wear like N95. I mean, let's be real. Actually, if it was a short enough flight, I'm wearing a P100. If it's a short enough flight, if I don't need to drink some water, I'm putting a P100 on and I am not taking it off.
I'm flying to Denver in 3 weeks, and like I thought about it. I was like, do I even wear a sip? I was like, no, I'm not wearing a sip valve because I'm only in the airport for like 2.5 hours. I'll drink before I'll drink in the car. I'll put it on, and I might have to take it off at TSA.
TSA. Yeah.
But I'll do the blow technique if I have to do that.
The blow technique, which is if you need to like show your ID and like TSA needs to check your face against the ID, you pull your mask, like you take a deep breath, you hold your breath, pull your mask down if you can. You know, obviously some people don't have breath capacity or can't do this. You pull your mask down, they like check it, you see it, and then you put your mask back up to your face. And if you can get the strap back over, then do that. But if you can't, if it's going to take a second to get the strap back over, you put it back on and you blow out as hard as you can and you take a breath and you just like hold the mask to your face while you get the strap back on. That's like what we're talking about.
If you've ever gone snorkeling or scuba diving, it's like clearing a mask.
Yes. Yeah. And that was something that I first learned from Lola Germs.
I just watched her whole hour-long long COVID video the other day. She's great.
Yeah, I like there are a lot of people who are trying to like get resources and information and knowledge out there, and like Lola Germs is one of them. Clean Air Club is like a great resource for that too. I love them so much. It's like empowering to have knowledge. It just is. And
we got to share it and build these connections.
Yeah.
Are you a nasal spray guy or anything like that?
I might be soon. Because there was that like study that just came out about like actually like the effectiveness of nasal spray because for a long time it was like a perceived effectiveness. It was like this probably helps, but we also don't know the long-term implications of like using nasal spray like very regularly. So
if I'm going to a show, I'll use it, but like other than that, I'm not using it these days.
Yeah,
my partner was using it almost every day for work, and then was like, okay, nope, not this anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So that's like, I'm not much of like a nasal spray person currently, but I wouldn't encourage like, look into it, see if it works for you, and probably maybe not use it every single day, but like
it sounds like the damage is maybe some sort of long-term kind of nasal passageway breakdown or something if you're using it a lot, which doesn't sound great.
Yeah. And then I have a Plus Life COVID testing kit at home, which again, like this dips into like having the resources to do this and stuff. I would have never been able to afford it on my own. It was like a combined, like there were like 7 of us that went in together on a Plus Life testing kit, which is an at-home molecular COVID test kit.
Comes from Germany.
Yep, comes from Germany, and the test kit itself. You can find like discount codes for it. They're like all over the place. I know Clean Air Club like shared some at one point, and they're just like around. But initially, it's like $300 for the actual machine, and then you can get a discount that gets it down to around $200, I think, something like that.
And then the tests themselves are how much?
The tests themselves are $8 a test.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's one of the lower cost like tests. What like each individual
once
test.
You've even got the original investment in the tests themselves or PCR level tests.
Yeah, close to. Close to. So yeah, the way Plus Life is it's 400 something that I can't remember, but PCRs like they have a range because it's like the effectiveness of it, which goes from like 50 to 1,000. And Plus Life is like, we can't be as good as like 50. Like, sometimes PCRs are going to be like better, but we have like, a consistent, like strong test here. It's something like that. I wish there's something on, there's a COVID group in Germany, independent like group that did a bunch of testing and like a bunch of research and stuff on the Plus Life, and they are like my main source.
I'm for the way that one for the first time. Yeah. At the end of the month, we're providing safe packages from someone in San Francisco to Portland, so we're getting a Plus Life and we're driving them that route because they can't travel otherwise, or else they risk dying.
Yeah. Yes. So we have a Plus Life and SIP valves, N95. I don't really leave my house much. That's like another big mitigation.
I mean, do you grocery shop? I'm just curious. Do you grocery shop?
I grocery shop. I do. I bring a Far UV MVP with me.
Which is what?
Far UV MVP is a little portable Far UVC device from Far UV Technologies,
And how does that position? Where do you put that? What does that look like?
I carry it with me, and I like hold it and like pointed like kind of like up towards me. So it's like it's in my hand, which isn't great. But there's an artist who does like holsters for them.
Okay. To hold them while they're on, so they're on you.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So it'll like strap to you and like kind of blast outwards. Like, but a thing to keep in mind is like the Far UV MVP and like something like the Nuke-It torches. I also have Nuke-It torches. And again, like these are like expensive, like inaccessible resources, especially Far UVC. And so a lot of people might be hearing this and like, wow, William has like all of this access to all this stuff. And it's like, yes, you're right. I have like support and people around me that are willing to go in on stuff like this with resources and a little bit of that like extra income. Or we're willing to go into a little bit more debt, like, to get this stuff for like safety concerns in ways that other people do not have access to. And that's
100%.
like part of why I am so involved with like Clean Air Collective and stuff, because like I want this stuff to be more accessible. I mean,
100%.
it's such a new technology and it is such, expensive things. Like it's just like, it isn't, and it won't be accessible for a long time. And
I mean, that's why all the clean air clubs are coming. So for accessibility, it's like, hey, I want to have 5 to 10 filters available because if you're a person in LA that wants to protect yourself, I want you to have the resources. The government should be doing it. Fucking Live Nation, Ticketmaster should be doing their venue. You know, all these, it should just be a standardized air thing, right?
Yeah.
You should just have a standardized air quality indoors, set it, and then we could live our lives. But here we are, just some people figuring out how to organize and offer people tools.
Yeah.
To mitigate.
Yeah.
Any other personal mitigations? Anything you didn't hit?
Plus Life, Nuke-It torches. I mean, like, I do grocery shopping. I go to a grocery store. I do that. That's like probably the biggest like consistent risk that I have. And then like I don't dine indoors. Like there's never an instance where I will ever put myself in a position where I have to have a mask off indoors or around a lot of people.
Same.
That's one thing. And I'm also someone who like, I wear my mask when I go walk around. Cause like I wear N95s. They're just like, they're strapped to it's not ear loops. It's like they're wrapped around my head. And I don't like every time I go into a place or if I'm walking and I'm like passing by a group of like 5 or so strangers, I don't want to have to consistently be like, oh shoot, better put my mask back on. It's like, no, like it's fine. It's a set it and forget it kind of thing for me. And that's just like easier. Like, do I think there's substantial risk to being outside, walking by yourself and there's nobody around? No. Do I think you need to wear an N95 to walk around your neighborhood that nobody else is like there?
However,
No.
right now you have there's fire.
Oh yeah. Right now we have fires. Yes. So it's
right
helpful.
now it does make sense to wear.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. For sure. And you live in LA, so it always makes sense to wear a mask outside. I lived there for 7 years, Dustin.
Yeah.
I know how that air quality is.
No, I know. And like, to be honest, like I don't mask on like, there's one trail that I do at night and I'm usually the only person on. I don't mask on that trail. But other than that, like, and then if I'm walking my dog just on my block, I won't mask. Because like there's never a chance that I'm running into more than one person and I can keep my distance. But other than that, I'm wearing a mask literally everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, there were 2 last things I wanted to. Oh, I know. I just wanted to touch on. Is there specific communication you have to have with the people you live with? Do you have check-ins like, hey, it's been 6 months since we last talked about our mitigations. Let's have a check-in. Anything like that?
Yeah. I wish that we would do that. It is moreover like, I'm a little bit of like the COVID person. And again, these like the people that I live with are like more COVID cautious than 95% of the people that I know. So it's like, I'm not.
But that's also like what you're describing though is also like us brushing off on people, right? Like they're partially as COVID cautious they are because of you.
Oh no. I mean, like my brother lives with me, like we live together and he straight up like a few months ago, just like out of nowhere was just like, yeah, I don't think I would still be masking if I didn't live with you. And I was like, oh, and he was like, not because like I don't think masking is good or that it doesn't work. I just like don't think I would have known.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I wouldn't have looked into it myself. I wouldn't have kept up with it. And he was like, I like really appreciate that And like it is very rare to have someone actually verbalize appreciation or like thanks for like this level of stuff. Like usually like you're seen as like a buzzkill or like
Yep.
or
Salting the
naggy, or I've had people tell me like I'm too aggressive and like I don't thank people enough for like the limited mitigations that they do have. And like I understand a little bit like where that's coming from, because like if all you're hearing from me is criticism, or like what you perceive as criticism, or like and not criticism isn't negative inherently. And in fact, I think a lot of criticism is very positive, but the nature of criticism is it forces people into a defensive like mindset. It just like does. That's just
well,
like
and somehow mitigation has equaled criticism in some people's brains. So it's like they think the fact that we're asking to mitigate, that's us criticizing something, because the mitigation in the past was the mask that was forced on us and the lockdowns and all the negative things that people can't separate anymore. Like they go back there and they can't come back to go, hey, and it's 2024. We've learned a lot. Let's have an honest conversation.
Yeah. And also like when you are more COVID cautious than 90-ish% of the people around you, and then you meet someone who is more COVID cautious than you, that is like introducing new information to you or asking new like accessibility things of you, I think that pushes people in a direction where it like becomes like oh, are you calling me a bad person? Like, oh, am I? But I thought I was doing the right thing. Like I would, I thought I was doing the good thing. Like,
but I'm going, what can I learn from you? I want to learn.
No, I know you and me are like that, Dustin.
I know.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I just want to say, like, people, like, if somebody listening to this, like, if anyone's listening to this, but if there's somebody listening to this, like, who's hearing us, like, and feels that way, or this is kind of like negatively, I mean, like, I'm gonna use the word triggering here, like, genuinely, like, it makes you feel defensive, or you feel like we are taking it to an extreme or going too far a lot of these times. Like, and you've had conversations with other people about this kind of stuff. Like, I just like encourage you to like recognize like where that is coming from. And like when that sort of interaction with people is like purely like out of love and care. Like love and care for like you, your safety, your health, the health and safety of the people around you. And I hate to quote like Brennan Lee Mulligan here, from like Dropout, but I saw a clip today that was just like someone setting boundaries with you is an act of care and like love. It's them saying like, it's them saying like, I want you in my life still. Like, I don't want to lose you. And with COVID mitigations and with like health and safety and like transmission and that kind of stuff, it goes a step further. It's not them setting a boundary with you. It's them like genuinely like trying to help you and help you to care for yourself and your community and a more like a deeper and more beautiful way. And that's like how I feel when people, I mean, like when I learned that cloth masks like do close to nothing and I needed to switch to a KN95, do you have any idea like how like much internal guilt and like how much like disappointment in myself I had? And then when I switched to KN95s, I felt really proud of myself. And I was like, I'm doing the thing that I should be doing. Amazing, amazing. And then seeing like research that's like, KN95s a lot of times, like, 60% of the time you can't get a good seal on them. Or like, and that kind of stuff. Like really, if you want to be like really protecting yourself and the people around you, like switch to an N95 or an elastomeric. And like, I just like was devastated. Because I was like, I did all the, like, I thought I was doing, I was like, and it was a moment where like, I truly felt like, well, is this going to happen every so often? And like every few months,
Maybe.
am I going to find out I've been doing it wrong? Like, quote unquote. And the thing I had to come around to is it's like, I need to be happy to learn that I'm doing it wrong, because otherwise I'm just going to keep doing it wrong. And I would rather
100%.
not do that.
Yeah. I mean, we need to be constantly wanting to learn and willing to change, right? That's everybody else's hang up, is they don't want to change. They want to go, oh no, it's 2019. Stop thinking about the thing that changed in 2020. And we're going, no, it's 2024. And this is the reality we live in now. And we're all trying to adjust to exist within the current reality, the safest and most morally conscious way for me, for some of us.
Yeah.
Possible. I want to ask you, what what gives you hope? Where do you find joy? Like, and like, I know you're still finding joy in music and sure, stuff like that, but I like, for you on the day to day, like, how do you not get bogged down by the shit?
I mean, truly, I have to stop looking at my phone because otherwise I don't not get bogged down by the shit. Like, cause there is like, I mean, truly, like at every point in like history, there has been like just absolute devastation happening in so many areas, like on the globe. And having all of this direct access to it, like, one, is important because like it gets eyes on it that, you know, otherwise wouldn't have known it was happening. But it is like a lot of information to be taking in and a lot of things to be like caring about. And like, you know, there's like this in activism, like it's encouraged, like find your like one or two things and focus on them. It's like, you're not going to heal the world, you know, like find your community and like advocate for others, like, and like lift their voices up and stuff when they ask you to and when they need that. But like, you really do need to pinpoint a little bit. Otherwise you're going to be like, you know, full blown savior complex. Like, if I need to be involved in every single, you know, thing on the planet, otherwise none of them are going to succeed. And you know, there is like a desperation in a lot of these instances. Like, organizing is like an extremely like caring and loving experience, and like so much solidarity and like beautiful like bonding happens in these spaces, but it is also devastating and like really tragic, and like you are faced with deep sadness like at almost all times. And this is something like you need to like, I don't know, like coping is like kind of like coping with like reality in like certain ways, like I think is like inachievable through a phone. In fact, I think it forces you into the opposite. So that's like a big key for like, if I find myself like really feeling down and like, oh sure, like we did this thing and that's like was successful and it would be nice to celebrate that, but like, oh, like fuck, like what about all of this stuff? Or like, you know, I think about like the Congo, Palestine, Sudan, like Lebanon, Venezuela, like all of these areas of the globe that are, I mean, directly being like affected by the country that we live in, and that like we like are, you know, through our tax dollars and through like our elected officials are like in ways complicit with, like that kind of reality. If learning that and facing that limits you to the point where you feel like you can't do anything, that is the problem. Like you are bending like to the side and letting these, I mean, truly like awful people force you into complicity. And like you need to be able to
normalize a world. Like, if you're willing to normalize this world, that's a problem. You need to speak up. We all need to do something. Like, giving up and just going, well, the capitalist oppressors won. I guess I'll just go get my Netflix and coffee and enjoy my life. Like, I can't do it. I'm here because I can't do it.
So
put your phone down.
Put your phone down when and if you can. And the other thing is like, that has done so much for me. I think most people in these spaces, and like the COVID cautious spaces, the people who are like conscious, like, you know, facing reality every day sort of situations, like it gets extremely isolating, like very fast. And I mean, like, even, you know, past the point of like people who like literally are physically isolated and like can't see people and can't leave their home and like that kind of thing. There is like a need for that. That's why like I get weird when people in our space say like, oh, like for live events, oh, like, no, we need to organize and we need to see each other in person. And I'm just like, you wouldn't say that to someone who literally can't. Like, there are people who like, it can't be a need if people don't have access to it. Like
I'm trying to organize a call right now with an at-home disabled activist artist. And so like, you know, with them, honor, empathy and freedom for them to, whenever they're ready, I'm ready to talk to them. Right. So it's like, I don't know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And so like, I have to be able to go, hey, I'm here for you to talk to me whenever you want to talk to me so I can learn from you. and we can figure out how we can all make all these things accessible for everybody, because we're not asking the most vulnerable people. If you're saying we need to go meet in this room and this person can't go meet in this room, well, we're not including everyone accessibility wise.
Yeah. So. And then that can't be like you can get community in so many different ways. Like, I think live in-person community, like, I think that's beautiful. And I think that's like wonderful. And and in certain terms, like, for some people, I do understand like the feeling of necessity there. I do. But like, I can't be like, oh, we need these things, because I'm just like, there are people who just like, who literally don't, like, can't, who cannot. And so like to put so much emphasis on like live events as like the structure for community, I'm just like, no, I'm sorry. No. But then like, so a big hope for me though is that like I have been feeling so very isolated, and we have so many like conversations like on the daily with the people around us, and like so many like disappointments, you know, truly like, you know, people who have been with us along for the ride like for years who suddenly are like dining indoors, and they aren't telling you about it, or they do tell you, and you talk to them about it, and you're like, oh, do you need to do that? Like, can we figure out like some different ways? Maybe we can, like, once a week we can all get together and like get groceries and like make meals together, and like kind of have that be, and like you try to think of creative solutions to, like, again, creative solutions to live a more aligned morally, ethically, and safer like lifestyle that would still be fulfilling. And some people aren't open to that, and they fall further and further away, and like, you know, more friends and more family and more like you just end up being very isolated. And so for me, as of recently, and especially in like these organizing spaces, like I have been finding a community, and it is so like refreshing for me, at least, to enjoy having conversations about COVID. And it's not just an info dump. Like, you know, it's not me explaining something to you. It's us talking about a joint knowledge that we have together, or if there are new things that I can learn from people. But like, even the emotional, the like tragedy, like stricken side of COVID, like the, you know, the coping, I went to this journaling, like COVID journaling event recently that was put on by the Mask for Masks Seattle person. And it was like an hour of conversation, like with prompts and stuff about, like, it was stuff like, have you had like a dear, like, close friend or a loved one who, you know, who has stopped making space for you, or like who has abandoned you or something like that. Or it was like these really like pressing prompts. And we talked for like an hour, and then there was like an hour of journaling and stuff, and like just journaling about like your, you know, the sadness and the grief that like we often don't get a chance to talk about, because the people around us are the ones who are sort of like tuning out from all of this, and like tuning out from this grief. And like, you can't, you know, I pretty recently, like I switched to a therapist like 4 or 5-ish months ago. And when I was on the onboarding call with her, she was like, what's one thing that like you need from me, or something like, what are the things that you need from me? And I was like, I never, ever want to hear you tell me to like loosen my mitigations. I never want COVID minimized. And I don't want the grief and the pain and like the hardship that I feel through abandonment and isolation of like this experience of me trying to take this very seriously, to be painted as like with a brush of like, oh, have you thought about what if you meet your friends halfway? You know, what if you compromise? Like I never, like, it is not an option. I never ever want it like talk to me like that. And my like, luckily my therapist was like, oh, 100%, absolutely. Like, I'm on board with you. Like, yes. And I know a lot of friends who don't have therapists like that. And so like, that kind of
friends
thing.
who don't have therapists.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And my therapist is sliding scale and I don't pay very much. And it's really nice, because I don't have money. So that's great. Yeah, but
all right, hold on. Now I want to take what you just said and just give me the elevator pitch of where you find hope in the current era.
Yes. I find hope through solidarity and organizing with like-minded people, and even a step further than that, like creating and like generating a social life for myself again in a way that feels aligned morally and ethically and is as safe as it can be, with people who are proactive in thinking about COVID in the same way that I am.
I love it. Great answer. And I agree wholeheartedly. Meeting the people working on this and working on clean air, it's the first time I've been able to see a bit of a future in a long time. I feel like I was blind to be able to see any kind of future that I wanted to see for 2 to 3, 4 years almost. And now finally I'm kind of like, oh, I see some of this community coming together, and these people that think the same way I do, we're finally fighting each other.
Yeah. I spoke to one friend a few months ago who I think like has really pushed me in a certain direction that had like inadvertently convinced me to take ownership of my health and safety again, like retake ownership in the ways that I could. And the conversation they had was like they didn't feel safe in their home with their friends. They were the only one like really mitigating anymore and like masking and doing anything, avoiding like high risk situations. And they were just like, I care deeply for these people, but I don't feel care. And finally they were like, they found another COVID cautious friend of theirs, like house, like couch to crash on. They packed up their stuff and they were like, I need to believe that there's a better future for me. And a better future for me can't incorporate waking up every morning nervous and anxious and afraid that the people that I felt were closest to me are going to be like my downfall. And like they talked to me, they didn't know anything that was going on with me, and like, you know, some similarities that like I might be feeling with like stuff like that. And they were just like talking to me because like I'm the COVID friend, and so they were just like, I know you would understand like this kind of stuff. So they're like, you know, I need to find a place. I don't really have money for a place, but I'm gonna like try and work it out and like figure it out. In the meantime, I'm crashing at this person's like place on their couch, and they're like, getting out of there, even though I'm not even like in a housed, like, you know, have a permanent housing situation, they were like, that already brought me so much relief. And that's like what I felt when I decided to leave like live music. Making the decision and playing the final show is such a weight off my shoulders. Like it relinquished so much internal like anxiety and like guilt that I had been feeling. And now my brain isn't going like, oh God, when's the next show? Oh God, like no, like, oh, like that kind of thing. Like it has relieved so much for me. And so if I had like a little note for people, is like, the thing that you wake up every day anxious about, if you can change it, like the sooner the better. Even if it's hard and even if it's painful.
And if you need to set boundaries, it's okay to set boundaries, and it's okay to hold boundaries. And it's hard. It's really hard, but you can do it. Where can people find you?
Oh, I'm not really on socials all that much, but okay. Seattle.
Or anything you want to promo?
Seattle Clean Air Collective, and like the Seattle Mask Block. I'm not like capital like I in the Mask Block, but I work with them, and I've done some like tabling with them and stuff like that, and they are amazing and so like incredible, and like the Clean Air Collective would not be what we are without them. They do a lot of consulting with us on like clean air mitigation kind of stuff too, and they have just incredible knowledge, and they're amazing people. So Mask Block Seattle, the Seattle Clean Air Collective. You can check out my band Glass Beach at Glass Beach Band pretty much everywhere. If you love us for like the COVID mitigations and stuff like that, if I promise, like we've had conversations, like if they do play it live again and it is without me, I'm going to be involved in like the mitigation aspects of stuff and everything. And they still do want to be like taking like strides in like COVID caution and everything. I don't know if they will play live again for a while, but yeah.
Well, whatever it looks like, I hope we're able to create a space that is safe for everybody, accessible for everybody, as 100% as we can. I mean, we know there's no 100%, but like, if we can make it accessible digitally, accessible physically, like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you.
Thank you for listening to the first episode of Mitigation Media. Please subscribe wherever you found us. I hope to have lots of mitigation-related conversations to share with you in the future. If you think you know someone who would want to talk to me, or you want to talk to me, send an email to mitigationmedia@gmail.com, or you can find me on Twitter. I know some people call it X, but I still call it Twitter. My name is Dustin Drury. I'm the host of Mitigation Media, and I'll see you next time.